Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to do a short video about house wrap, and was kind of unplanned, but yesterday when I was putting up house wrap on the left side of my pole barn that needs to get siding, I had been working off a leftover roll of Tyvek house wrap, and I ran out here, okay, and had to run out and buy just enough to get me over to there. So that was kind of annoying. But what I did was I switched from the Tyvek house wrap, which I prefer, to this other woven polyethylene product. And I've used both of these over the years, but in switching midway through this project, it really reminded me why I don't like this stuff, and so I thought it'd be good to do a short video on it. So stick around and we'll get started. Okay, so before I forget, I wanted to mention, you see a Lowe's logo on the Tyvek house wrap and a Home Depot logo on the polyethylene wrap. Both of these retailers offer both of these products with their house brand logo on it. So this isn't anything about Lowe's versus Home Depot. You can get either of these products at either retailer. This is more about comparing the Tyvek product to this woven polyethylene product. Now, the first major difference you'll notice when you compare these is going to be cost. Tyvek right now at both of these stores, it's $224 for a 9-foot wide by 150-foot long roll. This product for the same size roll is $118. Okay, so that's a big difference in cost right there, and that's really the reason I switched to this for this last little part of this wall. I just didn't want to invest in a whole nother roll of Tyvek that I probably won't use after this for a couple more years. I felt better just finishing out this wall with the cheaper product, if I don't need to use this, if I want to donate it, it's no big deal because it was significantly less cost. That said, there are some big differences in the product, and so if I was embarking on an entire building, starting from scratch, for sure I would spend the money and go with the house wrap instead. And it primarily comes down to how you can work with the product and how you can put the product up. Okay, and there are a couple key things there that I think are worth pointing out, especially if you are considering making an investment in one or the other of these types of products. So really, one of the first key things about house wrap that you need to know about is if it has to go on a certain way. Okay, now even though the Tyvek house wrap has printing on one side, this is actually non-directional. You can put this up with the print facing out or the print facing in. It does not matter for Tyvek. I actually won a bet with a building inspector about 5 years ago about this, because there are certain scenarios where I will put this up with the print side facing in. One in particular I'll show some footage of on this project is when I was doing the gable ends to really minimize waste. What I normally do for gables, the upper part, is to cut out a rectangle, then divide it into 2 triangles, put it up, tape the seams, and that lets me really cover the triangular shaped gable without a whole lot of waste. Okay, to do that, one side of the gable is going to have the print facing out, the other side is going to have the print facing in. There was a time where a building inspector saw that and said, hey, you can't do that, and I said, you want to make a bet? And we called DuPont, got on the hotline, and there's a 1-800 number on here somewhere you can call, and they confirm, no, Tyvek is not directional. You can mount this up against the building either way. So when you're doing weird shapes and weird gables and anything that's not a big roll-sized panel, this has an advantage because you can cut it into smaller pieces, you can cut it into smarter shapes, and you can put it up either way and make use of it. Whereas this product is directional. This has to be put up with the print side facing out. And when I do a zoom, I'll do a zoom in both of these products as we're talking here and put that up on the screen. You can see why this product, it's woven polyethylene. It's really like similar to a tarp material, and that you can see the wide woven ribbons of polyethylene, and then some sort of film on both sides. On the inside of that film, you can see micro perforations all throughout the product, which is what lets it breathe, okay? And when companies do micro perforations in a barrier like this, generally those are going to act like one-way valves. You want either of these products to block water from getting in, but allow water vapor and moisture to get out, okay? And so this can do that non-directionally. This product is directional, and so, you know, if I'm going to start putting this up on gables, I'm going to have to waste a lot more material. If I'm putting this up in small places, like on one side of a door, above a door, I can get by with using scraps of the Tyvek and really make it go a lot further. And you do want to tape the seams, overlap them 6 inches and tape them, but I can do that with the Tyvek. I can't do that with this unless I always have the print side facing out, and that significantly reduces the utility and the customization you could do with this product, and it means you're going to use more of this product to do those weird shapes in those weird areas. And so that's one key thing, and that probably, you know, cuts into the cost advantage of this material. Depending on the shape and the size of your building and how complicated it is, I'd say that probably eliminates, you know, 20–25% of the cost advantage of this material, just because you're going to have to use more of this to cover those weird shaped areas. So that's the first key thing to keep in mind. The second one, and kind of what reminded me yesterday and made me want to do this video, is working with this material. Now the Tyvek is more paper-like. It's a stiffer material. You can feel, you can hear it's crinkly as I touch it. This is a softer, stretchier, more of a plastic material, okay? This stuff cuts very easily with scissors or a sheet cutter, which is kind of a V-blade that you can just run along. And as soon as I started working with this yesterday, I was reminded this does not cut very well. It's just too soft, it's too limp to really slide scissors or a cutter along, and I much prefer working with Tyvek. You know, if you just have a basic building that's simple shape, not a lot of openings, and you're just going to go around the whole thing with a roll and staple it up and then cut it at the end, this will probably be fine. But you know, if you have to cut out a lot of doors and windows, if you're going to, like I said, be doing custom areas like gables and you want to minimize waste and use up your scrap, this is significantly easier to work with in terms of cutting with knife, scissors, even a V cutter. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. I was cursing this literally within 5 minutes of unrolling it, because I had to cut a narrow piece to go down here at the bottom, and you can see the overlap here, by the way. It was just a real pain to cut, and you know, I was instantly reminded how much nicer this is to work with. The second thing in terms of working with it and cutting it is, you'll notice on the Tyvek house wrap, they put these red marks. Those are spaced every 8 inches, okay? And so if you need to cut this off the roll, again, to cover narrow areas, maybe to cut a smaller piece to work on your gable, or you know, if you're just working towards a corner and you want to quickly cut it off to make it easier to handle and tack down at the corner, you've got these nice marks here, and it's super easy to come along with a knife, scissors, a V cutter, whatever, and you know, eyeball from here to here and make your cut, and you can get nice, quick, easy cuts with the Tyvek. What do we see over here? No marks whatsoever, okay? And so what I had to do when I was cutting these narrow pieces is get out a tape measure, get out a straight edge, figure out where I needed to cut, and then you can eyeball it along one of these weave lines in the product. But these are not perfect. They're close to perpendicular, but they're not perfect. And what I found myself doing more often was eyeballing off some of these logos, using these edges as references. But you know, in terms of making quick measure-free cuts, you know, they got the marks here every 8 inches. It's easy over here. You got to get out the tape measure and maybe a straight edge to make those cuts. And so that's really what got me on the thought train of doing this video. Was within minutes of unrolling this stuff, I was quickly reminded that it's just a lot more tedious to work with. Now, in terms of function of these products, you know, I have no reason to doubt either of these products have any issues with permeability, with, you know, blocking water and wind and letting moisture out. Now, that's really the two key things you want your house wrap to do, are to block air penetration into your structure from wind, and then block, you know, water from getting into the structure when it's behind a siding product, which may be imperfect. But in both cases, you know, as it's blocking wind and water from the outside, it needs to let moisture out from the inside so you don't have moisture and rot problems in your walls. And you know, I quickly looked up the specs for both of these products before I shot this video, and they're both comparable. I think the Tyvek, just based on the way this material is made, it's long continuous fibers of polyethylene that are kind of just spun into this flat sheet, versus this one, which is woven polyethylene ribbons with film on the inside and outside. I think just by virtue of the way they are made, this is going to have a more homogeneous permeability, whereas this one, you're depending on those little holes that have been punched into the film to let the moisture out and control the permeability. So you know, this probably is more homogeneous down to the microscopic level, whereas this one is based on those holes and how well they're punched and how well they're spaced out. So I feel like the Tyvek's probably a little bit better, but really just based on specs, either of these products is suitable. So I think that's going to wrap things up. I hope this is going to be a useful video for people, because again, both of these products are fairly expensive, but you know, $224 a roll versus $118 a roll makes this one very, very tempting. I would only recommend this kind of product if you're just going to go wrap a very simple structure with minimal cutting, minimal customization. You don't care about waste, because you're going to have to use more of this, again, because it's directional. If you do have to make a lot of cuts, you're going to be really unhappy with this material. And so then I would say, you know, spend the extra money, go get the Tyvek. This can go up either way, print facing in, print facing out. You'll be able to make it go further in areas like gables, where you can handle triangular shapes out of larger rectangles. And so, you know, to me, it's worth the money to step up to this for anything more complicated than a very simple structure. You know, like I said, I only got this material because I had a small section to cover, and I don't care about using this in the future. I'll probably donate this roll to the Habitat for Humanity Restore. They'll be able to sell it and get some money for their charity. If it wasn't just for this small section, I would have gone back to the Tyvek. But you know, this did fine for what I needed, basically to get this wall finished so that I can start moving on to siding from here. So again, hope this has been useful to folks when you're looking at these two products. They both have pros and cons. In the end though, I would definitely, you know, if I had to recommend one, for sure I would go with the Tyvek. Thanks for watching.